Hello and welcome to Living in Longview, a show about City of Longview government and services. My name is Sean Hara, and today we're at the Longview-Gregg County Emergency Operations Center. While this building may look empty now, during an emergency, this building becomes filled with a hub of activity from city, county, and other partners, other personnel that are working in this room to be able to address and coordinate emergency response. Today, we're going to talk about how you can be prepared at your home, at your business, as an individual for an emergency that may come towards you, especially severe weather. We're joined today by Fire Chief J.P. Steelman and also Matt Ainsworth, our Public Safety Communications Manager with the City of Longview. Thank you both for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
You know, we're talking here in our Emergency Operations Center about being prepared for emergencies, in particular severe weather. Chief, can you tell us a little bit about what the city looks at in terms of some severe weather that impacts Longview and that residents should be aware of?
Sure. You know, from a historical viewpoint in Longview, we're typically experienced with having anything from tornadoes to severe thunderstorm events to high wind events, occasionally some flooding, minor flooding most of the time, and certainly with this being wintertime, we could have some type of a winter weather event with icing or snow.
So why is it so important, you know, to be prepared for these severe weather events? I mean, obviously that's something that your department works on, but what about at the personal level?
Sure. From an emergency response perspective, we stay as prepared as we can 24/7, 365 to respond to any of the emergent needs here in the city. What helps us is when the residents take some proactive steps to prepare themselves in their own households for those same type weather events to where their electricity may be out, they could be without other types of utility service, communications are cut off, and so things that we would recommend that they have on hand ready to go would be a short supply of non-perishable food items, some type of bottled water, either in individual bottles or gallon jugs, having their medications handy, the things that they're going to need to sustain themselves for, you know, several hours to maybe a couple of days without the benefit of utility services, having a weather radio or just any type of a battery operated radio so that they can stay connected when they're cut off from their TV, their satellite, their computer. Having a flashlight with batteries and some batteries to change when your batteries start getting low so that you can see in the night, in the dark time, and things like that. But just having that go-to, that checklist of things that you're going to go get when that weather event hits.
You know, people think about an emergency, oh, I need to have a first aid kit, but they might not think about a lot of the things that you just mentioned, that in that emergency, you need to get out of the house right now. Oh, you know, those emergency files, those kinds of things that you can pick up and grab and go. You know, that's something that you guys do on your ambulances. And how does that impact in that moment of crisis being ready to go?
Sure. I'll give you a good example. One of the classic things that we deal with here in Longview is people that are on home oxygen. And when the electricity goes off and their oxygen machine no longer works, well, then that's really hampered or interfered with their normal activity. So having a backup supply of oxygen cylinders when the electricity's off, they can still go to the reserve oxygen units to maintain, you know, their normal respiratory rate and sustain their health for that period of time.
Right, and in severe weather, that's something that can happen. There's so much that can impact our area, and thankfully we haven't had massive severe weather incidents in quite some time, so it can be easy to forget, you know, or to think, oh, we're not going to have an issue. But how can people be aware of, you know, have a situational awareness, I guess, of when those emergencies are coming around the corner?
Right. You know, we try really hard from an emergency services standpoint to always pay attention to, you know, not what's just happening now, but what's likely to happen in the future. So we're constantly monitoring, whether it's the fire department, the police department, or public safety communications. As you know, most of our weather moves from the west to the east. So we keep a close eye on what's happening in the Metroplex area, and it helps us prepare for what to expect here in the East Texas and the Longview-Gregg County area. So there's a little bit of a time elapsed there that allows us that opportunity. So understanding, you know, how the weather patterns typically move through East Texas, understanding how's the city going to let me know if something bad is about to happen, whether it's through the early warning system, the siren system that's around town, or the code red system, which are two great ways to inform the citizens that, hey, we know something that you need to know about.
Well, thank you very much, Chief. And speaking of the Code Red system, Matt, if you could give us a little background on what is this Code Red system, the emergency notification system that's operated there through your department?
Sure. The Code Red system is an automated telephone messaging system that allows us in public safety to reach out to the public, to the citizens, quickly and in large groups. It can literally make thousands of calls per second. We use it to notify the public of emergency situations and of severe weather situations that may affect their area.
So your area, it's our 911 offices. We call it our public safety communications. So normally you're taking calls and sending them out to emergency personnel. But this system allows you essentially to kind of do a reverse 911, is maybe what some people have heard about, where you can send those calls out to a large area here. Why is it so important for Longview residents to consider signing up for something like this?
Well, with emergency situations, as Chief explained, any kind of preparation that you can make is better than none. The sooner we can provide notice to the public, the sooner they can start taking the steps that they need to take to keep their homes, their property, their families safe. You don't want the first notification you get about severe weather to be the sound of the early warning sirens going off. And as you said in the 911 center, when we have severe weather in Longview, it gets really, really busy in there. It gets tremendously busy. With the level of automation we have with Code Red, we don't have to pull somebody off of one of those workstations to go and launch a broadcast. It's automated. Code Red's in contact with the National Weather Service. So as soon as those watches and warnings are issued, the calls go out.
Let's talk about, I guess, the specifics of some of that automation and what types of calls go out. Some people might think, this isn't as important to me. I can maybe sign up with some of the other apps that I see that are out there, and a lot of news organizations have apps like this. Why would you say this would, signing up with Code Red through the city would be beneficial for a resident?
Well, because it's specific to the city of Longview. It's our service. It's free to citizens of Longview. It's just our geographic area, and the watches and warnings that you'll receive notification on are specific to Longview. At the same time, with the level of immediacy that we get, there's very little delay between when the warnings are issued and the citizens actually receive them.
Right. So, there's so many great resources out there for information, and absolutely that's great. Another way for people to be informed, we encourage them to do that. But this app, this Code Red system, to be able to call out to everyone, it's a great system for our residents here. How can people get signed up?
The easiest way, and the way we recommend, is to get online and go to longviewtexas.gov. You'll go and you'll enter your name, your address. You can actually customize it a little bit as far as how you receive your notifications. It's available in voice message and text message, and there'll be a Spanish option coming out later this year that we're pretty excited about. Fill out your registration information and submit, and you're automatically registered. You'll start getting those notifications. For those folks who don't have computer access, you can come by the Longview Public Library or by the police department, fill out a registration card and drop it off in the box, and we'll get you registered. And then for those folks who don't have time, you can always swing by and pick up a card, mail it in after you get it figured out and filled out, and we'll get you registered.
Very good. Well, Matt, thank you very much for all the work that you guys do at our public safety communications area. I know you stay busy, and hopefully we can avoid some severe weather. And Chief, thank you as well for all of the preparation that your department does, and especially in this facility here, which we're glad when this stays empty because it means there's not severe weather. But thank you for all the preparation that you guys do. We hope you've learned a little bit of something about how the city of Longview prepares for storms, and we hope that you've been inspired to prepare for a storm as well in your own home. Make that emergency preparation kit. Be aware of things that you may need in case a storm occurs. We encourage you to learn more by going online to longviewtexas.gov, or feel free to contact the City of Longview, the Fire Department, or the Public Safety Communications Department by phone or in person. We thank you very much for joining us on this special edition of Living in Longview.